Hey, welcome to the Grown Man Podcast, aka the Akintunde Show. Now, as you can tell pretty quickly, I am not Akintunde. I am the special guest, Mike Goodwin, and so I will be quarterbacking this episode today. So I want y'all to settle in. We have a great show. We're representing for Coach Taft. Today, we're going to have a tribute for Coach Taff Watson, and it's going to be tremendous. Thank y'all so much for checking in to the Grown Man Podcast, a.k.a. the Akintunde Show. Akintunde. Folks, again, it's Terrific Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Well, today, Mike Goodwin here, and I want to share with y'all the Thursday tip. So the tip for the day is, if you get a call from someone, don't commit to doing something until you know all the information. So I got a call this morning from Ak. So when you get Akintunde's call, you're going to answer it. Akintunde is one of those people that, you can't get him on the phone that often. So when he calls, better answer the phone. So I called. Well, he called. I missed the call. I called him back. And he was like, hey, man, are you available from 12 to 1? Now, first thing I'm thinking is lunch. When somebody asks you if you're available from 12 to 1, they're not talking about lunch. They talking about some work that they need you to do that you don't know anything about. So you got to ask questions. So the tip of the day is when somebody asks about your availability, ask some questions. Don't just give up whether or not you free. Don't just let that out, because once you say it, you can't say, oh, yeah, man, I think I got a ear appointment. I think I got to go down there and get my bunion looked at. No, it's over. Once you said, no, I don't think I got nothing going on. That's all they needed to hear. When they heard that, he was like, hey, man, I got some work for you to do. And you were like, well, I had 12 to 1. I didn't have that. That was for lunchtime. I didn't have work time. I was working up until 12. Then I was going to take a break at 12. You want me to work at 12. So that's why I'm here today, y'all. I'm here today sitting in for Akintunde. And really, he had a family tragedy. His grandmother passed this morning. So he called and asked that I come in and fill in for him. So being that I'm not Akintunde, I wanted to represent for him. So that's why I have on the African print. I got the African print on for Akintunde, and I'm wearing a hat. I typically would not have a hat on in the house, but because I'm on the Akintunde Show, the Grown Man Podcast, I got the African print and the hat, because I'm not Akintunde. I'm like Akintunde Zero, like the diet version of Akintunde. I'm like Akintunde Light. People, Akintunde and I go to the same church, and we both comedians. I can't tell y'all how many times people have come up to me and told me how much they enjoyed seeing me somewhere that I wasn't at. I'm like, no, you're not talking about me. You're talking about Akintunde. And I don't know how they confused the two of us. This one lady, I did a show that Akintunde probably did the year before. Akintunde has a joke about cooking and fixing something to eat. That's a joke that when he does, people enjoy. It's a very hilarious joke. So he basically talks about, the difference between cooking and fix something to eat. I was on stage for 20 minutes doing my jokes. I walk off stage. This woman runs out of the audience to me and asks me why didn't I do the cooking and fixing something to eat joke. I said, because that's not my joke, ma'am. That doesn't belong to me. That is Akintunde's joke, and I'm very offended right now because you just done watch me for 20 minutes. I done told you about Mike Goodwin. I got a bow tie on. I got hair. I got hair too now, apparently. Oh, man, I wasn't trying to do that. But let's transition on into the program. So, yes. So I'm here with y'all today, man. We have a great program. What I had planned on doing was honoring Coach Taft Watson today. Coach Taft Watson recently passed earlier this month at the age of 96. So he wanted to take this episode and celebrate life. He wanted to take this episode and to give props and shout out to the tremendous story of Coach Taft Watson. If you don't know the story, they've created a documentary. He is a jewel in South Carolina athletics, high school athletics, both girls and boys. So we're going to check out the trailer here. Also, we also wanted to have an honorable mention of Miss Rosemary Jackson. She's the co-founder of the Stellar Awards, wife of Don Jackson, the executive producer of the Stellar Awards, and also evangelist Billy Graham. And you can add to the list Akintunde's grandmother, or folks that have transitioned. And so we want to celebrate the accomplishments, celebrate life in this podcast episode. And we definitely want to take a look at Coach Taft Watson. So take a look at this trailer. And then after the trailer, we're going to have a pre-recorded interview that Akintunde did with the actor from the documentary, Max Highsmith.
It is said that by their fruit you shall know them. And many of the parishioners of our local church are actually former students and former players under Coach Watson's charge. They told stories, and whenever they told those stories, they'd always light up, and you could tell they were reliving those special moments that they had with him.
I am Christine Dolores White Davis, aka Baby White. I played basketball for Coach Taft Watson from 1979 through 1981.
Started working with Coach Watson in '93. We went to state, boys and girls. Wherever Terrell Bay went to play, they were standing room only. Bridge Neck, Marion, Mullen, Florence, Myrtle Beach. Everybody here respects Coach Watson. When he walks in this gym, you need to call him over and sit him on the bench with you, even though you are the head coach. His presence would make a difference.
I was only 9 years old, and it was February of 1973. My father passed away, and Mr. Watson was at the funeral. And I remember my family, I wasn't able to look into the coffin to see my father, so my older brother picked me up so I was able to look in to see my father. When I turned around, I had eye contact with Mr. Watson. Of course, the family marched on out of the church. Well, the next day I went to school, and my friend and I, Marlene and I, it was a knock on the door. And it was Mr. Watson.
Hi, Coach. How are you? I'm well, thank you.
He asked my teacher to have me to come outside. When I got out there, Mr. Watson knelt down and he looked at me and he told me, he said,
I went to your father's funeral. I know I didn't bring you into this world, but I'll be here if you need me, just like a father.
From that day, anything that I needed from Mr. Watson, he was always there.
All right, y'all. I told y'all I had a special guest today, and I'm so honored to have him on the show with me. Let me tell you something. Tell you a quick backstory. So when we really determined that we were actually going to do this documentary on the life of Coach Taft Watson, we started thinking about doing reenactments. And truth be told, at the time we really started thinking about the film, we were actually thinking about it as a feature, full-length narrative film. We did a documentary, but we originally approached it as a narrative. Well, I didn't recognize, I didn't realize, I should say it hit me that a brother who I knew and have been knowing for years, have been friends with for years, who I see twice a week, every week, Wednesday and Sunday, looks exactly like Coach Watson. His name is Max Highsmith, and he's my guest today. Max, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Ak? How are you, man?
Man, I'm good, brother. You doing all right?
Man, I'm doing great. What a great opportunity. Thank you for having me on your show, Ak.
No, bro, I appreciate you for taking your time out of your schedule. And I know, I know you're not doing it for me. You're doing it. You're here, of course, to to honor Coach Watson. I appreciate that, and I thank you for that. But again, to you all who haven't seen any of the clips that we played so far, or haven't seen the film itself, Max actually portrayed Coach Watson, and might I say, did a phenomenal job.
Too much.
No, really. I mean, you really did a great job, brother. And you captured his essence. And I hope I get chances to show this too. But there's an actual little piece of video where Max and Coach Watson met for the first time. Let's start right there.
Yeah.
Before we talk about Coach and talk about his legacy, let's talk about the human side of when you finally got a chance to meet this man.
Yeah. So I walk in the door. We are walking the door where you were setting up, and first thing I noticed, I walk in the door, one of his grandchildren stops in their tracks.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay. And then he smiled and he ran. And then I looked and everybody else had stopped in their tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, all right. And then someone took me around, and Coach was sitting in a chair. He was petting a dog.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting there. The epitome of peace,
Yeah.
the epitome of faith.
Yeah.
He was a man that I knew that I had to meet and that I was fortunate to meet.
Yeah.
So I walked around, and by now his grandson or great-grand had said, "Granddaddy, this is the man that's going to play you." And he looked up and he just smiled and he said, "Well, yeah, he kind of looked like me."
Yeah, he did. That's exactly what he said. And it was some great footage that we shot. We didn't actually use it in the film, and I don't think we used any of it. But it was just footage of you and Coach Watson, which now, I mean, of course, this carries so much more, even more weight. But just seeing y'all sitting there interacting together, talking, and then of course there's a great little piece of video that is outside when you all were outside on the road scene, shooting the road scene, exterior shots, and you and Coach Watson. Talk about what it meant to you to be able to play Coach Taft Watson.
You're gonna make me cry, man. So let me go forward in the story that might help you.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there. I said after he introduced me, and Coach said, "Well, he kind of looked like me." I said, "Coach Watson, it's such a great honor for me to meet you." I said, "Can I sit down?" He said, "Sure." So I sat down, and I said, "Coach, I got a couple of questions while they're setting up for your scene. Do you mind?" He said, "Oh, no." So I said, "Let me ask you a question, Coach. Can a man live successfully without faith?" And he said, "Oh, a man can live successfully, but he can't do it without faith." He said, "Faith is the key to all successful life."
Wow.
And right then I said, I need to be writing this down.
Right.
But something deep inside of me said, "Boy, you better shut up, don't write, and just listen."
Wow.
And so from that point, I just listened. I asked questions. He had answers. Long story short, 2 hours later, somebody said, "Coach, we're ready for you." He got up and he said, "I don't talk much." And I just said, "You did all right, sir. You did all right." So for me, what an honor to get things of faith, tenets of faith, understand some things about faith that I never knew, never heard from a man whose life was successful because he had used faith for 95 years.
Right. Yeah. At that time, when y'all were having this conversation, he was 95 years old. And what always got me about Coach Watson was how sharp he was.
Yes.
I mean, mentally sharp. I mean, when I first got a chance to meet him, I went down to Marion, and at the time it was just like, "Hey, come down." Stacy and Miss Christine, who brought me to the film, they were like, "Come down and meet Coach Watson. I really, really think that you could help us put this movie project together." And so she said, just meet Coach Watson. Just meet him. I'm like, okay. And I'm not saying
how do you just meet Coach Watson?
just meet. And the funny thing is, Max, is I'm not saying I just wasn't all in yet.
Right.
Because the truth be told, a lot of times people think something is a great story, but it's really not.
Right.
It's a great story to you or it connects with you, but that doesn't mean
That's right.
it's going to translate to film or translate to screen, to TV, or even to audio. But when I actually went to meet him, I was like, I told my wife, I said, we doing this. I said, I don't know how we gonna do it. I said, but we doing it. I said, because, and she was floored, she was blown away by Coach Watson. At that time, that was a couple of years before we actually shot.
Right.
At that time, he was 93, 94.
Wow.
And he was sharp, razor sharp. Memory, recanting stories, just talking about stuff and just filling us in and blowing our mind. What was some of the takeaways? And I should even say before I get to the takeaways, how did you prepare to play Coach Watson on screen?
Well, when you approached me with the project, for me, it's just an opportunity to work with you. You're my brother. You're my artistic billboard. I watch you. You're a man of faith. So for me, I know that since God is a respecter of faith, not persons, all I need to do is to have the faith. So when you approached me with the project, I was like, I'm in. It didn't matter. I'd never heard of this person before. Right. But once I met him, I said, yeah, I'm in all the way. And so I was happy to be there, happy to get any little piece I could get. And for me, I was looking for 15 minutes. Can I be serious?
Right.
I was just looking to sit down, to hear him, watch him, watch him move in his own environment for 15 minutes.
Right.
I got 2 hours.
Wow.
Do you know how blessed my life is?
Wow.
Because I was only looking for 15 minutes. I was looking for 1 or 2 keys, one or two nuggets that I can tell my boys.
Right.
You know, I got boys. I'm trying to train them. I'm trying to raise them.
Right.
I said, if I can get one thing from this man, I'm golden.
Wow.
I got 2 hours. I have 3 pages of notes.
Wow.
From him.
Wow.
I have something that they had prepared called the 30 things that Coach Watson used with his players. Man, I'm using that thing like crazy.
Wow.
It's a beautiful, beautiful document.
Right.
And so I prepared just by sitting and listening. There's a recipe out there to get the essence of people, and it's a couple of major actors do it.
Okay.
But one of the things is you watch people in their own environment. You sit and listen to them in their own environment. You watch people respond to them in their own environment.
Gotcha.
And then you watch their body in their own environment. And supposedly, according to this recipe, within 15 minutes, you have the essence of a person. And this is important because when you're portraying someone, you're not going to play them as a real person.
Right.
You're just going to play their essence, and that essence is going to live through you.
Right.
And people will connect because they understand all the other factors that happen in TV and film.
Right.
So you don't have to look like the person, you don't have to sound like the person. You just have to allow the essence of that person to live and breathe through you.
Right.
And then once you do that, you're golden.
It's amazing because you say that because I remember the first time you came to the house and we kind of went through a couple of lines, a couple of scenes, I should say, and kind of worked it through. And I remember the first time when I first presented you to the other producers, they were like, I don't know. So I'm telling you. I say, I know he can pull it off. I say, and when I tell you, y'all don't understand how much Max looks like Coach Watson. You know, of course, you can look at the pictures. I mean, but it's like when you because Max's hair is shorter right now. It's much shorter right now, even than it was a few days ago. And when you put the glasses on, Max, literally, when you see Max in the actual film, the documentary, you actually seeing Max in Coach Watson's actual clothes. So at the time that Coach Watson was Max's age, he literally was at the same size, and the stuff fit. I mean, like the jackets. That's what got me. I was like, man, like it just really fits.
Yeah, it really fit. Yeah,
man. So when you after having the opportunity to soak up his essence, be around people, and what was the impact of watching other people respond to Coach Watson? Describe some of that for the people.
Okay, so one of the first things I knew is that Coach was a man of honor. And because his family treated him honorably.
Right.
He was 95, and typically elderly people are not treated as well as someone young.
Right. Right.
His family treated him with honor. One of the other things is they revolved around him.
If you can, let me unpack that for a minute. And tell me if you mean the same thing that I'm saying.
Okay.
When people sometimes talk to elderly people, they begin to sometimes even treat them like children.
Right.
You know, they kind of, because sometimes some people people can be much slower, whether it's dementia, or whether it's disease or sickness, or just being slower paced. And sometimes younger people can treat them
Absolutely.
like children, or at the best, very least, like a teenager.
Right.
But clearly what you're saying is that wasn't the case when you observed that Coach Watson's family around here.
That was not the case. So again, the first thing was he was and let me use that word, unpack. He was a man of honor.
Amen.
So the first thing I knew that Coach was a man. He was treated like a man.
Right.
He spoke like a man.
Right.
And when he spoke, people moved.
Right.
So he was a man. And then he was a man of honor because I was made to stay at the front door until Coach was prepared to meet me. So it wasn't like I walked in the door, I came around, and Coach. No, I was kept at the door.
Wow.
And I said, this is a very special man.
Yeah.
So the next thing, I was led to Coach. So he was sitting there in a chair, petting a dog, the epitome of peace.
Right.
I was led to him.
Right.
And I immediately knew about Coach that I should not speak until he spoke to me. And all that happened, that was natural. All of that was organic.
Right.
No one gave me instruction, do this, do that.
Right.
But when I walked in the house, there was this sense that I was about to meet a man of great honor.
Right.
And I should, is a phrase I use for my son, act like you know.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Right.
And so when his grandson said, Granddaddy, this is the man that's gonna play you, I still was not given permission internally to speak.
Wow.
The only thing I could do was sit there, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and then he said, well, he kind of looked like me. Then I could speak. And once that happened, I knew, this is a place I wanted to be.
Right.
This is a piece that I really wanted to be in. And if I didn't have anything else on my resume, that piece needed to be on my resume. The story of Coach Watson needed to be on my resume.
You know, it's two times I saw Coach Watson cry. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that really, really blessed me, and I always have to continuously give credit back to Stacey Davis, Miss Christine Davis, their sister Faith Davis, and then Bishop Blue, because it was really a press to get the film finished and get it done in time for last Father's Day week. But it was two times that I saw Coach Watson cry. So when we had a screening, the audience, the screen was packed. We were in Florence, and the first show I was standing off to the right. I was watching the whole audience, because what you really want to do is you want to be able to see an audience respond to something that you have participated in, whether you act on screen or whether you created it. So I'm sitting in the back of the room, I'm watching everybody respond, and I'm watching, are they responding to different parts of the film the way they should, the way you thought they would, you hoped they would when you went through editing and even when you shot it. But when your scene, when you were portraying him going to the classroom, and pulling young Lois out of the classroom, I saw him shed a tear in that scene.
Oh, I have a story. Can I share a story?
Please do.
So we were on set. We were doing that scene, and everything was set up, and we talked to the young actress. By the way, she was fabulous.
Yes, she was.
I hope to get an autograph from you, because you
got a future.
You got a future.
Yes.
So we did the scene, and right before we did the scene, I noticed that there was some movement by one of the older ladies, and I didn't understand. I was in as Coach.
Right.
I was there.
Right.
And right before I knocked on the door, she walked away. She said, I can't watch this. And I just said, that's very interesting. So we went ahead and did the scene.
Right.
She walked out, and she walked around the corner, but she kind of peeked her eye around. And as I'm doing the scene, I see the eye, and I see a tear coming down the eye. And I said, I think we just did something really special.
Right. That was Miss Christine. That was Miss Lois Davis. She was watching you portray Coach Watson in the scene, and she gave us full spec on like she talked like you know, and a lot of times when you do a film, everything is sometimes you take a lot of creative liberty because you don't know or because you don't have access to. But she really gave us. She said he called me out. She said when I came out, he knelt down. So she really gave us some details on how the actual scene should be set up. But it was an emotional moment for her. Now, truth be told, I was all in the moment. So I didn't see some of the stuff that you saw because I was focused on you and our young actress. But it really touched her in how you really captured Coach Watson's essence. Of course, your job is not to mimic Coach Watson.
Absolutely.
But you captured his essence, I believe.
And the other part of that story is that even though she was a child actress, and that child actress really created something in between us. In acting, we call it the third person.
Okay.
She created something that was powerful enough for me to tap into, so that when we did the hug, there was a resting of my spirit because I gave her a hug and she just said, okay. And I said, if you look at it, you'll see me go, huh.
Right. Yeah.
And that was because of what she created. Again, shout out to that young actress.
She did a great job.
Fabulous.
And that was her first time acting.
Wow.
Even the more stunning. She did a great job. Shout out to all the kids who were in that scene. The young actors and actresses who came together, who gave us their time and portrayed that scene to reenact a very, very, very important part. There's people every time either Stacy posts that one clip or when I post it on Facebook or social media, somebody will always say, man, every time I see that, it makes me cry.
It's a great scene, though. I mean, it's a great scene. I love it. It was just so powerful. And again, I knew that I had created something because all I saw was an eye, and I saw the tear.
Right.
And I said, okay, we are way in there.
Right.
We are deep in territory.
Right.
But again, as an actor, my job is not to mimic, but to get the essence. And I knew that we had done something really, really powerful.
And when you observe the people in the community, because here's the thing, the clearly the fruits of Coach Watson's life, his younger life, could clearly be seen in his older life. The way he was clearly not only honored but protected, and you could tell people went out of their way to all the time I could tell it wasn't even all for him, but it was for them to be able to say, Coach Watson, hey, hello, I appreciate you, I love what you did, or you remember this, remember that. What did it do for you to be able to see the way the community responded to him, to particularly not just his family, but the outside community? Because Max played, it was, and I can't give context unless you've seen the film. You won't know this scene, but in one of the later scenes of the film, and we put Max and Coach Watson in the car together.
I love that scene.
And it was totally, I mean, of course, it meant, factually, it meant nothing. But to me, creatively, for me, it was like to bring his young self with the man, his older self, and be the actual man, to put him in the car together, to have them. But so that whole day we were shooting that, we saw other people come in and interact with Coach Watson, like people on the street who talk about some of that.
Okay, so we were in the scene. This was the I think you called it ride off into the sunset. Ride off into the sunset.
Right.
And so we were in the scene. We did a couple of things from the house. Right. People were driving by and waving as if they were really seeing Coach in that year that he won at that age.
Right.
And so they would wave and then they would stop, but keep going, kind of go, well, that's not Coach.
Right.
So we got in the car and we started driving, and I have not a clip, but I have a screenshot or a couple of pictures of just myself and Coach, and it comes across on this way. And it's such a great scene, and it showed the power of this man who in his old age still had the power, in his 95 years.
Yeah.
In his 95 years, who still had the same power
Yeah.
who still had the same reverence,
Right.
who still had the same competency
Right.
and faith
Right.
that he did at 55.
Right. Right.
And so we're driving and people are looking and waving and I'm
Yep.
waving. And he looked at me from time to time and he would smile
Mhm.
and I'd look at him and would go, we're okay. And he's
Right.
like, yeah, this is all right.
Right.
This is all right.
And he was patient
He
too.
was so patient. Oh my God.
He was patient because that scene was hot.
Right.
I mean, I want to say, was that was like July
Yeah, it was
or
hot.
it was a hot time of
It was
year.
a hot time of
South
year.
Carolina hot, and we were outside in a car that did not have air conditioning.
Right.
Okay,
It was a pretty car though.
yeah, but pretty car.
It was a beautiful car.
But it was a car that was 50 years old.
Right.
or 60 years old. I don't know, it was like 1950, 50, 60 some model Impala. Okay, so you talk about a 50-some-year-old car, and they have air conditioning. And Coach was cool. He was laid back, and we were like, can we shoot it?
He came out. He was like, yeah.
And truth be told, his grandson Joe was like, hey, look, I don't want him out here too long because it get hot. Okay, and I said, Joe, can we get one more?
Right.
I said, we can't. It's cool. He said, you get one more. And I was like, Joe, can we get another one?
Right. I remember that. And he kept saying, yeah. And I was like, Coach, you okay? And he was like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, I wanted to make sure that I took care of him as much as I
Right.
could as well.
Right.
You know, the fact that he would even, watch this, that he would agree as an artist.
Yeah.
He would agree to allow me to portray his essence.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get that.
Well, it was something you
That's a
said.
gift.
You said something early on before we actually kind of got things locked in. You said, I don't want to do it if he doesn't approve it.
Right.
And why was that important to you?
Right. Well, because I had learned very quickly that this was a man of honor.
Mhm.
I'd learned very quickly that he was revered, not in a bad way, but in a good way.
Mhm.
I learned that the opportunity to get anything from him
Mhm.
was a gift.
Right.
So for me, I wanted to stay on the good side of life
Right.
and not on the bad side of film.
Right.
I wanted to make sure,
Wow.
because again, he's 95.
Right.
He was 95 at the time.
Right.
And as they say in the cowboy movies, nobody's going to live forever.
Right. That's right.
So I wanted to make sure that when he left, that he was pleased with the product that
Right.
represented his life and his essence.
Right.
And I am so happy, so pleased, so blessed that I got a chance to do.
Wow.
I got a chance. So I've done some things. None of them are important when they compare to the movie I did about Coach Watts.
Wow.
None of them.
Wow.
None of them.
I remember before we got close to it and we were working out stuff and we were figuring out stuff with the budget, just full transparency, figuring out all of this, trying to get it done. And I remember you said, hey man, look, when I know you're trying to work out all this. I'm paraphrasing what you said. You're trying to work out all the budget and all that stuff. He said, but I'm in.
Right.
Like this is important to me,
Right.
not just as an actor, but as a man
Right.
to portray this character,
Right.
this role,
Right.
this man. And I never forget that. Now, as a father, for me, there was a lot of takeaways.
Okay.
What were some of the takeaways for you? Because and Max, to your credit, and I'm saying this for the people, Max is a very hands-on dad. You know, his sons, his boys, the household is called the Nation of Highsmith.
That's right.
The Nation of Highsmith. That's
Nation of
and a lot of brothers at church, even pastor, make reference to the fact that Max has his household. His sons know this. We are a part of. We are within. Right. We are leaders in the Nation of Highsmith. What was some of your takeaways as a father?
As a father, one, that you can be man. Mm-hmm. 2, that men have faith.
Mm, yeah.
3, men use faith.
Mm-hmm.
4, men use faith for their lives and for the lives around them. 5, men use faith for their lives and for the lives around them to be successful.
Wow.
A man doesn't use faith because he's a hoping and a wishing and a praying.
Right.
A man uses faith because he knows that this faith is going to guarantee and going to bring him the things that God has already told him.
Right.
Like Coach.
Right.
The reason he used his faith, because God had told him some things.
Right.
And his faith was the bridge to manifestation.
Wow. The bridge to manifestation.
Faith is the bridge to manifestation.
And you know, when you somebody who is passing by this video, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on playback, and you don't know the story, you might be like, man, okay, what are you talking about? oh, really? You know, or I don't want y'all, you know, lifting this man up like he's a god. No. But when there's somebody that you have access to that has lived a truly exemplary life, who's truly walked out their faith boldly on this earth, who stood up for their faith, and then affected the lives of so many young people. So many. And that, for me as a father, man, I literally, like when there were times, even through post-production, even through editing, there'd be time we'd be working, I would leave, we would finish a cut, and I'd be like, man, I got a lot of work to do as a man. I'm like, golly.
We talked about that.
Right.
We talked about it.
I'm like, man, you know, Coach Watson really, really, really pushes you as a man. If you really, really look at yourself and you say, okay, I can do more.
Right.
You know, because sometimes you may feel like, hey, I'm doing my thing as a dad. I think.
Right.
But then it's like, but what about your community? How much are you doing in your community? Are you really, really, truly extending yourself?
Right. That's good. That's good.
Are you really, really going the extra mile? You know, and that, you know, I really felt like he pushed me without being there next to me, pushing me or quote unquote coaching me. Right. He coached me through this film. Right. He coached me through my experience with him. He coached me through my time with him.
And he was so patient and so loving with all of us.
Right.
Just giving us the opportunity to share him.
Right.
To see him.
Right.
And again, as a father, when my boys saw the film, you know, I couldn't be there. I had something else. And,
right.
You know, I said, guys, what did you think? And they said this, Daddy, you did a good job. Mm. And I said, thanks, guys. Mm. And they said, and Coach was a good man. Mm-hmm. Now, they had never met Coach.
Wow.
They didn't know the story of Coach.
Right.
All they saw was the movie.
Right.
But my boys, 15, 13, and 12, a little bit younger at the time, said this, Coach was a good man.
Right.
My oldest son, my oldest son said, Daddy, I want to be just like him.
Wow. Wow.
Here's a 14, 13-year-old kid
right.
who had never met this guy and says, I want to be like him. And I had no issue with that.
Right.
It was just like, okay. It wasn't, I didn't feel bad. Like, no, you should be like me. It's like, no, if you're going to be like a man, be like Coach.
Right.
Be like Coach Watson.
Right.
I'll take that any day.
Right.
Any day.
Right. Well, man, Max, I appreciate your time. Closing thoughts on the life of Coach Taft Watson. Again, if you're just passing by, we're honoring and celebrating the awesome life of Coach Taft Watson, who, as of this recording, this actual live video, he died 7 days ago. And like I said, if you're watching this on playback, it was 7 days ago from today, the day we're actually doing this live post and recording this. He died 7 days ago. And awesome, mighty man of God, a mighty, awesome man of his community, awesome husband and father, and an awesome winning coach. Yeah. What do you want? What's your final thoughts and words on the life of Coach Taft Watson?
We should celebrate him as a man.
Yes.
As a man of faith.
Yes.
We should celebrate him as a great South Carolinian. Yeah. We should make him our hero as a person to strive to. He is a man that any one of us should strive to be. The way he touched his teams, the way he touched his community, the way he touched his family. That is what the Bible says when it talks about, and a man shall leave an inheritance to his children's children. Coach Watson embodies that.
Yeah. He surely does, man. Thank you, Max.
You're welcome, brother.
Your time now, and thank you, sir, for doing such an excellent job.
Wow, anytime.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Just in closing, man, anybody who's out there working on something, again, when I tell you this whole process of putting this, my participation in this project, totally unorthodox the way it came together, and we, in the way even the film was produced. But when I tell you, who would have known? We started thinking about who could play Coach Watson, who could bring him younger reenact his younger life and do it well. And then the brother who pulled, I mean, it's amazing. Like if you look at Max, if you look at the reenactments, you look at the pictures, look at the hair,
Yes.
look at the glasses. That's God, man.
That's God.
That's God. And I thank God, and I thank you, and I thank Coach Watson for living such an awesome life. Thank you, Max.
You're welcome.
Mr. Watson, tell us what everybody knows you for.
I think what everybody knew me for is that I believe in discipline. That's the first thing that I tried to teach the children. And for some reason, they just felt that I just knew everything was wrong about basketball. Mm-hmm. There was never a question about it. I taught pride. We never practiced on Sunday, and I didn't practice on Wednesday night. And on Wednesday night, we had prayer. When we started, I did the prayer. But later on, I'd ask for volunteers. We sat around and we talked. And through love, they just loved. At Terrell's Bay, I didn't have to make them go outside. They came in the gym almost every day. Okay. And in the free time, we spent that time together. Mm-hmm. The big thing at Terrell's Bay is pride. The bus driver, everybody was dressed alike. And the boys, when they come in, about halftime, the girls, the shortest boy first. And they went and sat together. But that was what happened with the kids down there. We were a family.
Whenever.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. And again, my name is Mike Goodwin. I'm the special guest host for the Grown Man Podcast, a.k.a. the Akintunde Show. Shout out to Freethinkers Radio for providing a wonderful platform and opportunity. One thing I want to share, I am privileged to be a guest in Akintunde's house. Now, when people invite you over to their house, what you don't want to do is mess it up. Don't go over to people's house looking inside the drawers, going in closets you ain't got no business going. You stay in a little area. Like when you go visit somebody, let you stay at their house and they not there, you sit in front of the TV. Like you go from the TV to the bathroom to your car. That's about as much space as you need to do when somebody lets you host something. Because when you don't know what stuff is. You go to fiddling and messing with stuff, then alarms go off, something break, and now they will never have you back in their house. So don't let it be said. Mike Goodwin ain't touched nothing. I sat myself right here and I went to the bathroom, then I came back. And then I went on Facebook, but that's on my phone. Like I didn't use Ox phone. So when people let you host and they have you in and they trust you, don't be messing around. Don't go in their bedroom. Don't be sliding in their slippers. Don't do none of that stuff. And I know some of you people do that because people have hosted you and they never had you back. So you did something you had no business doing. So if y'all don't see me back, that's what happened. I must have did something and I did not know that I had done it. But this was an outstanding episode where we celebrate the life of Coach Taff Watson. Shout outs to Akintunde. Shout outs to Max Highsmith, who played Coach Taff Watson in More Than a Coach, the Taff Watson story. Tremendous documentary. I saw it when it was here in Columbia. It was a great turnout. It was a wonderful event. And I'm so excited about the future of the documentary because a lot more South Carolinians and a lot more people need to see and know about the legacy of Coach Taff Watson. When Art called me this morning and shared with me that he lost his grandmother, she passed at age 88, Loretta Warnock. It made me think I just recently lost my grandfather, and I have no more grandparents here that are living. So I wanna impress upon you, take the opportunity and to cherish the people that are in your lives because life is fragile. Life is fragile, so don't take for granted. Don't take for granted that the ones that you're having conversation with, the ones you're having fellowship with will be here tomorrow. We don't know. So take advantage. Don't be that person at the funeral hollering, laying on the casket. You know the people doing that? Because they did a bunch of grimy stuff when the folks was alive. Now they feeling bad. Now they want to be at the funeral and trying to make reparations. You can't have reparations. They gone. They out of here. You need to make things right before people transition. So, man, again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Shout out to everyone that was online in the comment section. Shout out to my frat brother, Reverend Tucker. Shout out to everybody. I didn't mean to say one person because then you got to say everybody. So shout out to everybody that's been tuning in. Akintunde will be back next week, and you will have the full authenticity of Akintunde. You won't have the diet version of Akintunde. You won't have. They don't even call. Do they call stuff diet anymore? They got all these trick names. They call them Coke Zero. I know what that is. That is diet. That's what that is. What's the little peppermint, the little Dr. Pepper fella? He be singing. I never had the drink. I think the commercials are very funny, but that don't make me want to go drink the drink. I just don't. It seems like it has less sugar. He he got a high voice. Yes. I don't know what I'm talking about right now, but I need to talk to their marketing people because it's very funny, but it's not effective because I have not drunken the Little Sweet yet. I enjoy the commercial. I watch the commercial, but I'm not going to purchase a Little Sweet because it seems like just a little bit of sweet. I don't even know what he's saying. It's funny to me. It sounds good. It's like candy. They talk about fun size M&Ms. What's fun about eating 4 M&Ms? Ain't nothing fun about that. It's foolishness, man. These marketing people, they creating very hilarious commercials, but I'm not going to spend no money on that. I'm not going to buy, it's sweet on a little horse. This like a little dude on a horse singing. He looked like an 80s rocker, like he was in Bon Jovi or something. What I'm supposed to be doing something. Let's see. Hey, check out last week's episode. It's Christian Rap Dead. Akintunde also has some major announcements. Again, this episode was a celebration of life, specifically Coach Taff Watson, also Akintunde's grandmother. We also honor Rosemary Jackson, and we honor the evangelist Billy Graham. And y'all check me out. My name's Mike Goodwin. Now that I'm here in Ox Space, I'm going to take my own little time to say, go to my website. I'm at comedianmikegoodwin.com. I don't know why I say .com, but I think that's important because you can go to like .org or you can go to .ca and then you wouldn't find me. But if you went to .com, that's where I would be located. I'm at comedianmikegoodwin.com on Facebook. I'm at comedian Mike Goodwin on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Bowtie Comedy. Check me out. The only reason I'm even doing comedy at the level I'm doing it because Akintunde gave me an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity, he extended his platform to me, and he got me on stage. So shout out to Ak again. Also to their beautiful family in this time of bereavement. With prayers and our thoughts go out to them. Also, don't just ask people, can I do anything for him? Do something. Do something. Put something in his hand. You got to drive to Savannah. So don't just say, I'm praying for you. Put a little $20 spot in his hand for some of that gas money or something. Do something that not only shows people that you thinking about them, but you put a little help, a little wind in they wings. Just help them go up just a little bit higher. That's what they should do. But again, I'm Mike Goodwin, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Grown Man Podcast. I'm a grown man, and Ak had me in as a guest, and I'm a grown man, so I know not to mess with stuff. I ain't touched nothing. I did use this piece of paper to make some notes, so I might get invoiced for that. But other than that, I think, man, we've had an outstanding time. And again, shout out to freethinkersradio.com. Also, shout out to Akintunde. Shout out to the whole team and everyone that's affiliated with the Grown Man Podcast. I'm Mike Goodwin, man. I think that's pretty much it. I would open the floor to any questions. If there's any questions that you have of this fine African print that I wore for Ak to represent, because my name Mike. Like Akintunde, he didn't even have to wear African print. People think he from Africa. So I got to show up and people like, wait a minute, is that the professor of the Nigerian university? Like, they would think I could pull off the Wakanda. Like somebody told me I could have been in Wakanda, but I would have been the old version of the king. Like I would have been the king in Oakland. That's what I would have been. Oh, we got a question. We got some conversation here. How much is that one piece of paper gonna cost you? Akintunde got different prices, man. I don't know. When you hosted at the Sellers, Sean, look here, man. when folks got you on the red carpet at the Stellar, you know, because people, they don't know the prices until you get an invoice. So you would think that this is just a regular piece of paper, but I don't know where I gets paper from. He might has this shipped in from Kenya. This might be the finest. This might be linen. This might not even be. Yeah, this is vibranium paper. Look here, man. You know how much vibranium is going since the movie. You could have got vibranium for like nothing last year. They was giving away vibranium in the streets. But since the movie dropped, vibraniums, the stock for vibranium, you can't even, it's not open, it's closed. They've closed all vibranium sales. So and as I was writing, my hand felt freer. Like, so I know this not regular paper. Like, you see how fast my hand going? I just wrote a whole chapter of a book just now. Cause the paper pulls that talent out of you. Like I just wrote 17 jokes out of that paper. So this is not just normal paper. I don't know where I get this paper from, man, but this is some outstanding paper. So I don't want to know how much it costs. I can put payments on, I can put something on it. Like, I'm prepared. You know, I got money. So I'm prepared to take, you know, to pay for it. Now, I don't want to be surprised when I get the bill. But so, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Grown Man Podcast. Shout out to my wife, because I'm back home, man. I've been gone for 10 days, y'all. I've been in Canada for 10 days, and praise the Lord. I'm back home now. And I'm happy to be home. But when I was in Canada, people was talking about, oh, aren't you happy to be back in warm weather? Yes, because when I was in Canada, you know, they're not on the Fahrenheit, they're on the Celsius scale. So I'm looking at it's cold. I feel it's cold, but when I look at the thermometer and it's -2, I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be out my house. I'm supposed to be somewhere seated. Why are we walking around and it's -2 outside? Then the other thing about Canada, the wind is very disrespectful. The wind is running around like Ike Turner, just smacking people all in the head. If I had this hat on, my hat would have been over there, because that wind would have, my hat's gone. So I'm happy to be back in the States. I'm happy to be back in the US of A. I love America. All right, y'all. I think that's my time. I think I hear somebody saying lunch. That's what I hear. That's what I thought Aki called me for anyway. So I need to go and get my 7 minutes in for my 12 to 1 that I had prepared for lunch. I was gonna watch an episode of Better Call Saul and eat my lunch, but now I better call Ak and tell him don't charge me too much for this piece of paper. But thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Grown Man Podcast. Again, my name is comedian Mike Goodwin. You can check me out online at comedianmikegoodwin.com. Bowtie Comedy. Man, this has been great. Shout out to Coach Taff Watson. Shout out to More Than a Coach, the Taff Watson story, Akintunde, and the whole Freethinkers Radio. Hey, man, y'all be good. Peace.